Good morning, Covington County. Welcome to Good News Covington County with Brother John and Cousin Jared over here, our videographer, sound man, producer, director, Girl Friday, Boy Friday, whatever you want to call him, the guy that makes all of it work. We're so glad to see you here on this Monday morning, April the 9th. Covington County, the best place in the world you can live. Hello out there in Red Level and Strawn. Hello over there in Opp. Hello down there in Carolina. Hello up at Ghent. So glad to have you folks over at Loango. Anybody that's watching us, we're just glad to have you with us today. And what a day it is. We had a tough weekend in many respects. Had a lot of rain in places. Sunday turned out to be cooler than we expected today. And today, well, we've got a little overcast and we've got some clouds and some wet stuff falling out of the sky. I don't know what that stuff is, but it's coming down in little bitty drops, just enough to get your windshield wet and make you run your wipers. I got some local news I'll share with you. As you know, my old running buddy, my partner, or whatever you want to call it, mostly in crime, Bob Brooks, has not been on the show and will not be for a little while, but we're going to bring him back when he's ready to. They had a funeral or memorial service for his wife and for his mother at the same time on Saturday at the First Presbyterian Church here in Andalusia. And I've got to tell you that Bob Madsen, who did the ceremony, the service, did a tremendous job, and that's the fullest I've ever seen that church building. People really came out to memorialize Dot and Denise. Just to let you know, the entire family was able to be there at the same time. And I've heard some people say some things about, well, why did they wait so late? Why didn't they have two ceremonies instead of one? And I want to explain that because I think some people have given Bob a little bit of grief about that. Their family lives all over the United States, from California to Washington, Mobile, Tuscaloosa, Huntsville, all over the United States. And it's hard to get those kind of people together at one time. And they were able to do that. And that's the reason they did not schedule more than one service. All the family was there. They seemed to handle it very well. They handled it as if it was a time of joy. And I just wanted to tell you that as a reassurance that Bob and his immediate family seem to be doing well. They're wonderful people, and it was a very special ceremony if you're into that kind of thing. Now, I guess that would be the negative news for Covington County, so we're going to move on from that. We had kind of, as we alluded to a little earlier, we had kind of a mixed bag for weather this weekend. That's kind of unfortunate because part of the activities planned for this weekend, an awful lot of them were outdoors. Little League Baseball kicked off. Relay for Life fundraisers with the Andalusia Junior Women's Club. I think they just call it the Women's Club now. The police department's car wash, the Women's Club event, 3 Nights Market, and the police department's car wash event were fundraisers for the Relay for Life, which is going to be held this coming weekend here in Andalusia. It's a big event. The 3 Nights Market was canceled for Saturday, but held again on Sunday afternoon at Springdale. From what I could see, the turnout was, because of the cool weather and one thing or another, probably wasn't exactly what they anticipated. And I can tell you, I drove by Opp Avenue around 10:30 looking for the police to be out there to wash cars, and they were out there. There just weren't any cars because of the rain. Now, I tell you this because the Relay for Life is an important fundraiser for people in our community. And it looks like, based on those two events, that those people that sponsored the event may come up a little short. So if you can be active and generous with your donations to other Relays for Life events, or if you can contribute directly yourself to the Relay for Life, please take the time to do that. That is not an event where there's a penny wasted. The administrative costs are minimal, and the people do a really fine job. Money stays local, helps people that you and I know every day. The only thing I would say in addition to that is that the city of Andalusia, with their plant sale here on the square, pulled off a smashing success. Thursday sales for plants on the square were so good that by the time they got around to Friday morning, there were less than 60 plants left that they had to sell. So thank goodness for that. Maybe they're able to overcompensate for a little bit of the shortfall that the police and the three-night market had. Well, now, folks, I'm going to break here in just a minute so we can talk about some sponsors and public service announcements. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Good News Covington County with Cousin John, our second segment here on April 9th, a Monday, in Andalusia, Alabama, but for all of Covington County. We're located up here on the square, and if you've got anything that you'd like to bring in to share with us, if you'd like to be interviewed with us, go to our Facebook page and check with us. We'll get back to you. We'll try to help you out with a time and to come in here. We're pretty flexible right now. But we prefer early mornings for interviews, and you just work with us, and we'll be more than happy to give you the publicity you deserve based on the kind of events that you're having. We use the Andalusia Star News as a primary source for much of our reportage, and it's turned out to be a very good source for us. Lots of information, well reported, and we want to give them the attribution they need every day when we do our show. It's not our crack news staff that's out there. Our news staff may be cracked up, but we don't have a crack news staff. We have something better. We have the Andalusia Star News crack news stuff. And there's a great article in the Saturday paper about the Andalusia Public Library and what they're doing down there. I was unaware it had slipped up on me in the midst of all these great events that we had occurring around us, that we were right around the corner from National Gopher Turtle Day. National Gopher Turtle Day. I didn't know there was such a thing, but there is, and we're right around the corner from it. The article goes on to explain a lot about turtles, but the star of the article, in addition to the gophers, is Ms. Charlotte Petrie. And she taught the children a lot about gophers and what they do. She actually brought in a gopher that's her pet gopher that her daughter gave her over a year ago. They talked about what gophers are, and I think the children thoroughly enjoyed it from all I can gather. They were talking about the differences in between a turtle and a gopher. And you think you may know. I did know. But that's because I've hung around gophers a lot more than I probably should have. A turtle is a shelled animal. Shellback, the old Navy veterans will get on to me about that. It's not a dirty word, by the way, but a turtle is a shelled animal that likes to live in the water. A gopher is a shelled animal that likes to live in the ground. And the thing, I don't know about how well turtles do it in the water, but I do know that in the ground, turtles are very symbiotic with a number of different species. Now, it's been on my own experience when I was a much younger man that when we went out and looked at gopher turtle tunnels and that kind of stuff. There was a lot of stuff in there, and there was stuff in there I wasn't even aware of. I knew there were, in their burrows, I knew there were rattlesnakes because they got some of them out of there. I knew there were black snakes and pine snakes in there. What I didn't realize is there were things called gopher mice. I knew about gopher crickets, but I didn't know about gopher frogs that lived in their burrows. And they all get along together, unlike us many times. Anyway, they had a wonderful lesson. Then after it was over with, Emily Brooks, who is the children's program director there, and is my friend Bob Brooks' youngest daughter, Emily did an activity for the children where they got to build their own gopher burrows and that kind of stuff, and it was a great thing. They used construction paper, paper bags, those kind of things to make a gopher. The guest of honor was what they referred to as a red-footed tortoise named Dude. Dude's a South American gopher that came up to Andalusia to stay. I wonder if he came over the wall. Anyway, just to let you know about a number of things that the Andalusia Public Library does, you can go down there and you can rent telescopes, you can rent microscopes if you want to do hands-on work. They also have bird watching kits that will have the local birds available that you can identify, and I guess you would call it a diary or a journal that you can keep of the birds that you spotted, and that's all available there. Of course, and inside they've got a lot of technology that you can use as well. Please take advantage of Andalusia's Public Library. For a small town, we have a great one. In other news locally, got my news right here today. What amazing, Jared's taught me technology. There was an article in the Andalusia Star News about the fundraising and politics here in Covington County. Generally, I guess the most interesting race we have is probably a competitive race in the county is for sheriff. We have 3 candidates running for it, and they reported on, the Star News reported on how much they've raised, how much they spent, and who were their largest contributors. It's pretty interesting. Dennis Meeks has raised $10,000+ and it will tell you in the paper who his largest contributors were. And then Blake Turman, who's running for sheriff, has raised $10,750, and some of that's personal contribution, but it'll also tell you who the rest of his, many of his other donations came from. And then Nikki Carnley from Over and Up has collected $10,534 for his campaign, and it will again explain to you who the largest contributors are there. And it also goes into detail about our Representative Mike Jones, who has an office right across the square from us, who might be our next Speaker of the House in Alabama when the next term comes around, and his fundraising. Anyway, Star News, good source. We're going to break for commercial and be right back. Welcome back to Good News Covington County with Brother John, Cousin Jared, and a staff of invisible people. Glad to have you back with us for our third segment as we kind of go through the news as it was last expressed in the Andalusia Star News on Saturday. There was a good article in there about the Covington County Grand Old Party, GOP, also known as Republicans, and what they're doing in the county to for the upcoming election and to showcase their candidates and that kind of thing. They've had an event here in Andalusia already, and they've got a couple of other events, one in Opp and the other one in Florella coming up pretty soon. As a sidebar to this, I'd like to mention that I have been in contact with the Covington County Democratic Party and asked them to come in and talk about what they're doing. They will be doing that shortly. They were very, very nice to us and very courteous to us. So I'll let you know that. We want you to understand that we don't want to take sides in this election. That's not our job. We're not big media. Our job is just to report to you what's going on. And in this article in the Star News, it says that the Republican Party invites voters to a Republican candidates forum at Doc's Country Restaurant. That's kind of out on the bypass on April 17th at 6 p.m. That's about 8 days from now. They're going to have hot dogs and hamburgers, and it'll be a meet and greet with the candidates. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the regular Doc's hot dogs and hamburgers, but the hot dogs, the hamburgers in particular that I've had there are excellent. So it's a good chance to go and see some fine people running for office and to get to know them. It'll help you make your decision a whole lot better. A third forum for Republican candidate is planned for Tuesday, May 15th at 6 p.m. at the Rodney J. Evans Conference Center. Again, there will be a meet and greet from 5:30 to 6 p.m. and then there'll be food will also be served at that time. If you want any more information on this, contact the Republican Party Chairman, William Blocker, at 334-804-5106 if you're interested in going to those, or I guess finding out whatever you need to find out about the Republican Party here in Covington County. William Blocker will be your source for many of those things. One other thing that I'd like to talk to you about, and I think this is important for Covington County. There was an article later last week, I think it was actually Thursday, about the Bright Beginnings preschool and program. It's located over here on Seeger Street by one of the Andalusia Housing Project developments. And by the way, my hat's off to the way they manage Andalusia's public housing. It looks as if they'll be closing the Bright Beginnings program, partially because of just a lack of participation or a lack of students that could come there. And they were, in the course of that, they had spent a lot of time with the director, Bobby Jones, that handles that. And they'll be talking about that, as well as where there are alternative resources that you can take your children. And I happen to know that some of this is just financial. They have federal funding for a certain amount of the children, but they don't for all of the children, especially the ones that don't live in the housing project, public housing over there. The students that don't live there have about $150 annual tuition, and not all of them are able to, the families aren't able to come up with that. It's my understanding that there's a move afoot within the community to try to come up with a way to publicly fund that. I'm trying to get in contact with some of the people that do that so that we can inform you if you're interested in how you might help to maybe keep the Bright Beginnings program going. Here's what I wanted you to know about the positive things about the Bright Beginnings program. Let's see, let me find it down here. Well, here's the deal. The students that go to Bright Beginnings have been tracked long enough through high school to know that if they go to Bright Beginnings, then go to elementary school, and then go to middle school and high school, they will place in the top 10% of all students when they graduate from high school. All students in Andalusia, those kids will place in the top 10%. In the history of the course, only 2 students that have gone all the way from Bright Beginnings to high school, only 2 have graduated, have failed to graduate. Only 2 out of how many hundred, I do not know. Those are pretty significant things to know, and they're pretty good predictors of how successful children will often be. So they're great dividends that come to the community as a result of that. And I want you to keep that in mind, and as we grow, we'll bring you more information on Bright Beginnings in the future. Now it's time for us to stop, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Good News Covington County with Brother John. Glad to have you back for our final segment today. Just a couple other things in the way of housekeeping, and we'll be out of here and hope to let you have a great day in Andalusia. There was an article again in Andalusia Star News about a fine young man named Will Clark from here in Andalusia that's been accepted to Vanderbilt University on an academic scholarship. Now, Will's been active in sports in Andalusia. He's playing baseball right now, but he's been an extraordinary student, honor society student, leader on campus, a number of other things, and he's been accepted to Vanderbilt on a full academic scholarship, which is wonderful. At Vanderbilt has an excellent academic record. It's kind of like almost an Ivy League school where the qualifications are so high. But Will's been accepted up there and offered an opportunity to play with the football team. And he's a fine little athlete. He's done a great job on the defense for Andalusia. He finished his career in Andalusia with 115 total tackles, 46 solo tackles, 25 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 1 blocked punt. That's a pretty exceptional record. He received offers from several small schools, but the offer from Vanderbilt, a Southeastern Conference school, was obviously the best educationally and otherwise. He's going to go up there and play for Coach Derek Mason, who I think is a tremendous human being. But he won't be alone when he gets up there. B.J. Anderson, who played with Andalusia this year as a wide receiver, will be up there with him. They'll both be in the first days of summer camp together. And Alan George, who played at Andalusia a couple of years ago, was a redshirt last year, will also be playing up there at Vanderbilt. And I want to tell you something about Vanderbilt. If they're still up there, they're smart. High academic standards, they're doing well. I want to congratulate Will. Still want to congratulate B.J. Anderson and Alan George on the opportunity to go up there. I wish them the best at Vanderbilt. Got our weather here. As you can guess, it's a little cloudy and rainy out there today. It's going to be like that an awful lot of the day. We got a chance of getting up around 72 or 73 degrees today. And our chance of precipitation, which is rain's about 50%. Right now we're in that 50%. Probably less than a tenth or a quarter of an inch of rain accumulation today. Tonight there's a 40% chance of showers and low about 57. After 1 tomorrow morning, the showers should diminish and we should have a beautiful day tomorrow with about a 30% chance of rains and a high near 70. Winds out of the north about 5 miles per hour. And that'll be our weather for the next couple of days. I think by next weekend we may have another cool snap, and then I'll be glad when the cool snaps are over, obviously. But just as an interesting aside, up until this last week, there had been, in the western United States, they've been about 20 degrees above average temperature. In the eastern United States, we've been 10 to 20 degrees below average. This past week, there were only 5 western states that were above average. I mean, western places that report that were above average, and there were 471 in the eastern United States that were below average. So, pretty cool week if you're east of the Mississippi. I'd like to leave you with a thought today, and this one comes from APJ Abdullah Kalam. Now, I think this is one of the most important quotes that we can live by, and I hope you'll try to apply it. Let us sacrifice our today so that our children can have a better tomorrow. considered to be one of the top 100 quotes of all time. Thank you for watching us today. Hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.